We begin with a developing story. Protesters have reportedly stormed and set fire to government offices in Kazakhstan's largest city, Almaty. The violence comes as mass demonstrations over surging fuel prices in Kazakhstan entered a fourth day. Last night, thousands marched in defiance of a curfew and ban on mass gatherings. Police, they used tear gas and stun grenades after crowds refused to disperse. Windows were smashed and roads blocked. The president has declared a state of emergency in 2 regions and said some price caps on fuel would be reinstated. The Central Asian country's cabinet was earlier fired in a bid to head off the unrest. Let's return now to our top story and get the very latest from Emily Sherwin in Moscow. And Emily, just to remind our viewers, what we're talking about here is these tensions over soaring energy prices escalating in Kazakhstan. We've been having some reports now in the past hours of police using tear gas, stun grenades on protesters trying to storm government offices in Almaty. Just walk us through what we've been seeing.
Well, today there are continuing protests in Kazakhstan across the entire country. Apparently, thousands of people have come out in different regions of the country. In the biggest city in Kazakhstan, in Almaty, which is the former capital, several thousands of people are on the streets. And there have been reports, as you say, of clashes between protesters and police, using stun grenades, of protesters in several cases actually attacking the police, and it doesn't seem that the authorities have control of the situation. They introduced yesterday a state of emergency in several regions, including in Almaty and in the surrounding regions, but that hasn't helped, it seems. There's also the internet seems to be being blocked in large swathes of the country, potentially to stop the protesters from coordinating, but that doesn't seem to have kind of calmed things down. And now we're seeing the city administration in Almaty has been stormed. Several other official buildings, it seems, have gone up in smoke, at least judging from pictures on social media. So things aren't calming down, it seems.
So what comes next then, Emily? Because, I mean, the government has already resigned.
Well, it's hard to know. These protests started over the weekend about a big hike in the prices on LNG, rather liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, which many people use in their cars as fuel. The government before was subsidizing prices on that, and then they liberalized the market, and we saw prices double at the beginning of the year. People were very angry. Initially, their demands were economic, but over the last few days, the government has been kind of playing catch up. So initially, they said there was nothing they could do about the prices. Then they went back on that, and they actually slashed the prices down halfway once again. That didn't calm down protesters. Now we've seen the government resigning, but many people see that kind of as a symbolic concession because mostly it's the president who controls the country, and that's why people have continued to take to the streets. I can't really imagine there being big political concessions going forward. I think probably we're likely to see a crackdown.
Emily Sherwin with The View from Moscow telling us what's going on the ground there in Kazakhstan. Thank you for your reporting, Emily.